Thank you for that introduction, and thank you to Platon School for inviting me here to Athens. It's a great pleasure to be with you here this morning. So I'm now going to move the conversation on to the older age group, to our 16 to 18-year-olds, our diploma students, and particularly their transition to the next very most important phase of their education, and that is their transition to university. So, my job with the IB is I'm the Development Recognition Manager for the UK and Ireland, and one of the key roles that I play is to engage with universities to support our students who apply to particularly the UK from all around the world, not just from the UK. And so the question we might ask ourselves now is, why should I be speaking to you here in Athens about UK universities? And the reason is because many of our students who move from one country to another, who go from their home country or from the country of schooling, move to a university in the UK. It is the #1 destination for our internationally mobile students. And if we then have a look at how many of our students are applying to UK universities, here's some figures that come from the UCAS, who are the admissions council for the UK, and they show that 75% of students who attend UK universities with a IB qualification, with the IB diploma, for the most part, are students who are not from the UK. Only 25% of our students are from the UK. So the IB is a very important qualification for UK universities. It's also, therefore, UK is very important for our IB students internationally from the EU and also from out of the EU. I've put some figures up here, and I hope the school will be able to share my slides with you on the website. They're for public sharing. The figures on the right, the acceptance rates, tell us how many students actually, after applying, go to university. And you can see those figures go down as we go from UK to EU to out of EU. That's not because EU students and out of EU students are not welcomed by UK universities. It's because those students hold more options. They may be having also university offers from, let's say, the Netherlands or from the US. And as a result, they're more mobile. UK universities highly value IB students, and they highly value IB students from all around the world. If we have a look at where our top countries are in terms of where IB students are coming from, then obviously UK comes #1. But if we look down the list, then students from Greece are very high in the list. So I think the 10th most popular country in terms of students coming to UK. And what's really interesting about our Greek students is that most of them are actually Greek, which is not always the case. So for instance, I was in the UAE 2 weeks ago when I was speaking at a symposium of schools in Dubai, and although the UAE sends lots of students to UK universities, virtually none of them are UAE nationals. So I think something that is very, very important is that your Greek students are coming to UK universities. Why do universities like IB students? Well, firstly, it's a badge of quality. One thing that UK universities can be certain about is that an IB student they're getting this year is going to be like the IB student they got last year and the IB student they're going to get next year, because the grades are consistent. We've had no grade inflation. Here's some figures showing the pass rate over the last 10 years. And it's the same, 78.8% in 2007, 78.8% in 2017. So universities know that the quality of our IB students is being maintained. We've heard about some of the elements of the IB NYP. Those elements continue into the diploma, and our students who take the diploma have got certain characteristics, which means that their transition to university is very successful. And I'm just going to say a few things about them. The first one, which sometimes can be thought of as a dirty word in some circumstances, is challenging. The IB diploma is a challenging qualification. Students have to take 6 subjects, they have to take theory of knowledge, they have to take the extended essay, they have to do CAS. That's a big program. keeps our students very busy. But the point is that when they go to university, our students have already shown they can meet a challenge. In UK terms, they've shown they're up for a challenge, and they've proven that they can meet that challenge. There's no promises involved saying, well, I can work hard, believe me, I can do this. They don't have to do that, because by getting the grades in the IB diploma, they've shown they can do it. So when they go into university, universities know that they're going to be well-skilled in terms of their work ethic, well-skilled in terms of their ability to manage time. If we then look at the other components that universities are looking for, we've got a global qualification. Universities are international institutions. We get the depth from the higher level subjects, we get the breadth from the standard level subjects. It's an integrated program. That is, subjects aren't randomly put together. The various components bind together to give an overview of skills. It's interdisciplinary. Fear of knowledge, which I used to teach. I was a teacher until 4 years ago in a school in the UK. Fear of knowledge gives our students an understanding of how different subjects relate to each other. We get essay writing skills. So even scientists who are going to go on to do, let's say, physics or even maths, can write essays because they have to. They've had to do it in language A, they've had to do it in humanities, they've had to do it in TOK and in the extended essay. Our students who then go on to the humanities can handle maths because they have to. And so if they go on to philosophy or psychology or indeed any subject where they have to use stats, even with math studies, they are numerate. So they've got all the qualities that enable them to succeed. So we do have evidence from the UK. We've been lucky that we've had a large number of students come to UK universities for many years. And the government agency that reviews progress of students at university, called the Higher Education Statistics Agency, HESA, has, for us in 2 reports, reviewed the progress of IB students compared to A-level students in universities in the UK. And they found out twice the same thing. Our IB students have a better chance of achieving a place at a top 20 UK university. They have better outcomes, so a higher proportion of our IB students receive first class or second class honours, and a higher proportion of our students then go on to postgraduate education. So we're confident, because these are independent figures, that our students are very, very successful compared to the UK national qualification. If we have a look at where are our students going in the UK, I'm sure you'd be interested in which universities they're applying for. One of the lines of evidence we have is, where do our students send their results? These are called IB transcripts. And so from that data, we can find out where they're going. As you can see, here's a list of the top universities that they're applying for, and they are top universities. They're not applying for what you might say are mid or low tariff universities. Our students are getting into high tariff universities. Universities, unfortunately, won't tell me, and they won't tell IB, that they prefer IB students. It's politically unacceptable. But actually, their statistics show that they do. 2% of students who apply to UK universities apply with the IB diploma. In conversations and in presentations, these universities have indicated how many IB students they actually recruit. And as you can see, Oxford and Cambridge, 6% of their students are IB students. So all of these universities, which are top-end universities, obviously, are disproportionately recruiting IB students. That's saying something about our IB students. It's showing something about their quality. I'm going to skip some of these slides because I know we're running short of time, but they'll be available to you. So we've got this slide here, which is showing how do UK universities require grades, and generally they require total points and then points in the higher levels. And then Brexit. There is no answer. For this coming application round, that is for entry in 2018, it's business as usual. So what applied in previous years still applies in 2018. The government has not made an announcement about 2019. We hope it will be the same, because we're looking as if we're going into a transitional period. So the universities, although they won't say it publicly, think that that is going to be the case. What I can say is that the Scottish Government has already made an announcement saying they will honour the same arrangements in 2019. And for you as Greek citizens, that's very important, because as EU citizens, you do not pay any fees if you go to university in Scotland. I've got 2 slides just to finish off for Ireland. Ireland, obviously an EU country, students from the EU do not pay fees in Ireland. However, the application system there is very different. In Ireland, the application system is based through the Central Admissions Office, the CAO. Essentially what happens is that students apply and their IB grade is converted into points. And what the CAO does is then look at how many applications have been made for a subject at a university, and they go down the list and take the top 20 students with the top 20 points. And so what that means is that students are competing against students with the Irish Leaving Certificate, which is graded on the same point scale. So just to give you an example of how this works, I've picked 4 Dublin universities. And these are the points that were required last year for engineering. So Dublin City College, 381 points are required for engineering to get onto their course, and 381 points is around about 28 IB points. It's quite a reasonable offer. DIT, Dublin Institute of Technology, 371, which is about the same. UCD, University College Dublin, 498 points, and that's getting on for 38 IB points, so that's getting a bit tougher. Then lastly, TCD, which is Trinity College Dublin, which considers itself a top Irish university. They're looking for 470 points, which is 35. So you can see, just as with the UK system, different universities require different numbers of points. Thank you for listening, and I hope that's given you a little snapshot about how the situation is developing in the UK. Thank you.